Dr. Bart Hodgins, we're going to talk about a real basic understanding of what whiplash is. So if you are driving in a car and you get hit from the back or hit from the front or hit from the side, depending on positionally where you get hit from, it's all going to translate differently, but a similar kinetic load or kinetic force coming into the vehicle, then through the seat and into the passenger or the driver. So whiplash itself is basically when we get a hyperflexion, hyperextension type of injury. So we're going to go to the model here, and you can imagine if someone's driving and they get hit from the back, they're going to get thrust forward and then they're going to get thrust back. And they might now hit their head on the back of the seat, or if they get thrust from the side, they might find themselves hitting the side of the car, or depending on how the accident occurs, you can imagine it can be a variety of different things. So the thing with whiplash that is unique is that the occupant or the driver is just sitting there. And often they don't even know the accident's going to happen. So when you're up and you're hiking or running and you fall, your body's kind of flying everywhere. But in a seated position, a lot of that will get up into the neck. And if the seatbelt locks, it will pin you in, which could really become an issue in your low back if the seatbelt locks and you get thrust forward. So seatbelts save lives, they hold you in position, but they also allow for your body to get pinned and your neck to be moving great distances in a short amount of time. So whiplash itself starts to happen, I'll use the neck for this example, when each one of these segments gets pushed too hard in one direction and then thrust back in the other. If you feel like you've been hurt in an accident, what can you do right now prior to seeking care? Obviously, you've been in an accident and you declined maybe going to the ambulance, like, I'm fine. A couple hours later, this stuff starts setting in. You really want to be mindful of this. You want to know that you're not hurting yourself more and that you're setting up for improvements here in the near future. So what I'd like you to do is you'll go in front of a mirror and you'll start turning left and right, okay? Very slowly and up and down, and see how that feels. You want to do that very gently because you want to see how the neck itself is moving. So it's important to move in a pain-free range of motion. The reason for that is we don't want to get a whole bunch of inflammation in these joints. When that happens, it gets more and more contracted and more stuck. So by gently moving your neck, that can help pump some of that stuff out. Also, it's important for at least 48 to 72 hours, even if you feel good, to kind of moderate your activity. Probably not a great idea to go for a giant run the same day you were just hit, even if you feel good. Just take your time. The first couple of days will tell a story. Peak inflammation after an acute injury is 48 hours. So it takes around 2 days for all this stuff to set up. That's why I'm saying be mindful. Also, monitor your feet, your knees, your hips. When you're sitting in a car, you may have had your foot on the brake, right? And if you're like this and you get hit, that might come right up into the hip. You might not be even sure why your hip hurts, but it could be slammed along with the brake pad. So don't just look at it like it's your neck and shoulders or your spine. It might be your elbow or wrist. Be very mindful over the next few days. If your symptoms start to worsen, it's probably a very good idea to go get some help or go get checked out for a couple reasons. One, the doctor checking you out, chiropractor checking you out, is going to be able to make sure that you're moving properly in a range of motion and also give you an idea of where you are in a whiplash category. Often whiplash is categorized 1 through 4. And most people that seek care that didn't go in an ambulance will fall into 1, 2, and sometimes the 3 category, but mostly in that 1 and 2. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you've been in an accident, is take it easy for at least the first 48, 72 hours. Take inventory, watch how you feel, keep moving, but in a pain-free range of motion. If you find your condition worsening or you find that something else doesn't feel right, I would encourage you to seek care. That was good.